Management is a profession. The idea of management as a profession was first launched in the United States about 100 years ago. The growth in the size of corporations, emergence of public corporations leading to the separation of ownership and control made it necessary to have a group of people responsible for directing these huge new entities, professionally qualified managers. Khurana and Noria, 2008. 1. As a result of such developments, management is considered as a distinct profession. However, to claim that management is actually a profession, it is imperative to understand the meaning of the term profession and the characteristics of a profession. 1 http org 2008 10s It's time to make management a true profession, last accessed, the 3rd of August 4. According to Cambridge Dictionary Online, 1. A profession is any type of work that needs a special training or a particular skill, often one that is respected because it involves a high level of education. Quote. Based on this, a profession may be defined as an occupation that requires attainment of specialized knowledge, principles, tools, techniques, and skills related to a field of study, development of understanding related to the practical implementation of the attained theoretical knowledge, a proper code of conduct, and a representative body that establishes, monitors, and enforces such code of conduct. Hence, to be classified as a profession, management should possess the following characteristics. 1. Specialized body of knowledge. A profession is backed by an organized and a systematic body of knowledge consisting of principles, tools, and techniques that should be the ultimate guide for the members of the profession. A professional should be well versed with the respective body of knowledge. He or she must be able to apply theoretical knowledge to real life situations, for instance, real life business challenges or problems in this case. 2. Specialized educational institutions. There should be specialized educational institutions that engage in curriculum development and delivery of the specialized body of knowledge. Formal education and training are imperative for a person to become a member of the profession. There are a number of public as well as private management schools in India, such as Indian Institutes of Management, Faculty of Management Studies, University of Delhi etc., that are engaged in imparting formal education and training to the managers of tomorrow. 3. Code of conduct. A profession is backed by a code of conduct that acts as a guiding framework for the members. The code of conduct lists out the rules and regulations that the members of the profession have to abide to, norms of professional integrity, honesty, and ethical behavior. It is established, monitored, upgraded, and enforced by the respective representative body, and all the members of the profession are bound by it. If any member violates the code of conduct, he or she can lose the membership or face sanctions. For example, ICAI, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, lays down code of conduct, professional ethics for chartered accountants. 4. Representative body. A representative body or association is a must for regulating the profession. It lays down the minimum eligibility requirements for a person to become a member of the profession and obtain the license to practice. The formal education and training programs are also approved by the representative bodies. For example, Medical Council of India lays down all the 1 http 5 requirements a person must meet to practice medicine in India. The association also ensures that the code of conduct is followed by all the members, and in case of any violation, an appropriate action is taken. It also ensures that the body of knowledge backing the profession is in line with the changes in the environment. While management fulfills some of the criterion as discussed above, it doesn't satisfy all of them to be recognized as a full-fledged profession. 1. Unlike chartered accountants, doctors, or lawyers, formal education is not mandatory for a person to become a manager. Mere presence of specialized educational institutions doesn't make management a profession. 2. Managers do not need a license to start practicing management. 3. There is no universal and enforceable code of conduct that managers across the country have to adhere to. The code of conduct is established by individual companies and consequently they vary from one corporation to another. 4. There is no representative body that has the power to monitor the implementation of code of conduct and hold managers for ethical and moral misconduct. For all these reasons, it cannot be said that management is a full-fledged profession. It just has some elements of it. Functions of management. As already described, management is a process which involves 5 main functions: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. Planning is the first and primary function of management. It involves setting up long-term and short-term goals of organization and deciding the best possible course of action to achieve them. By laying down the future course of action, the planning tries to reduce the uncertainties of future and gives direction to the functioning or organization. A sound plan is one which is laid down in clearly, it's reasonable, flexible, and time-bound. As it is the primary function of management, the rest of the functions and their efficiency depends upon the planning itself. Hence, planning is the most important function of management. Organizing, it is the second function of management. It is the function which brings plans into action. The objective is to arrange and organize all the resources required for fulfillment of plan. At this stage, the tasks are identified and resources are allocated to each task. The roles and responsibilities with appropriate authority distribution is also done under organizing. It is at this stage, an organization is given a structure. The balance between the authority and responsibility and clarity of roles marks the efficiency of organizing function. 6. Staffing. It is the third function of management which can also be called as extension of organizing function. This is because staffing is also about organizing resources. However, the only difference is that it deals specifically with human resources only. Staffing is all about understanding the needs of human resources of an organization and making them available for it. Human resources today are considered to be assets of an organization and hence staffing emerged as one of the key functions of management. The objective of this function is to place the right people at the right job and at the right time. The major activities involved in staffing are recruitment, selection, placement, training and development of human resources. Directing. Once the plans are put into action, it is important to follow up and keep a track so that organization does not lose its direction, and this is the objective of the directing function of management. Directing is all about keeping the human resources of organization motivated in the direction of achievement of goals. It requires constant supervision and a strong leadership at each level of organization. Along with that, directing also analyze the human resources, their needs, motives that can drive them towards goals. Hence, it involves leadership, motivation, incentives, plans, and so on. Controlling. This is the last function of management. This function completes one cycle of management process. It is the stage where actual performance for a time period is accessed and compared with standards laid down under plans. The objective is to calculate the deviations from the plan laid down. If deviations are in positive direction, they are rewarded, and if the deviations are in negative direction, they are controlled. Planning and controlling are interrelated and interdependent on each other. This is controlling in one cycle provides the base for planning in the next cycle. Each function of management in itself is complex and is a process in itself. These functions are interrelated and interdependent as one function leads to another. The efficacy to which one function can be performed is dependent on the other functions as well. The control function of management cannot outperform the quality of planning and directing function as they all are interdependent. However, a typical hierarchy between them do not exist in practical world as all these functions take place simultaneously and pervasively at all levels in an organization. The relationship between them can be depicted in the form of a cycle diagram, which is an indication of non-stop continuity of these functions whereby one leads to another and so on.